we made it. Now, let's see how we got here.
Some ominous developments out of China on a new illness.
New numbers this hour on the deadly outbreak of the new coronavirus.
Europe is now the epicenter of the global pandemic.
I'm declaring a public health emergency of international concern.
Declaring a national emergency.
Both Canada and the United States will temporarily restrict all non-essential travel.
Let's do it.
I got you. Keep going straight. So we gotta cross the stream. Yeah.
There's no more compassion, no.
Okay, so now we go that way.
Praise me. I need something fast. I need something to last and give satisfaction, no. Help me. Grab his right arm. Help me.
Guys, I really like hiking, but right now I'm not having it.
Why not?
My hair's a mess. My eyes hurt.
Yeah.
Sleepy.
What? Oh, I'm sorry. Right after you said you're not having it.
I wanna go home.
It's beautiful out.
Yeah. I can't even see anything because my eyes are closed all the time.
I wanna catch the wave. Hey, all this fake news. Tell me, what is the use?
So the second thing that we want to tell you guys about what we've learned from this pandemic and what it's taught us about van life is be okay with being alone, because there are going to be days when you're living in your van. Sure, David's there, but I gotta survive a 12-hour drive with my thoughts, no one else's. So learn that there are always people to support you, but also being alone isn't a scary thing.
No, and being alone is also being alone together. There's a virtual community around you of van lifers or friends or family that are there for you anytime you need them.
Yeah.
And I don't mean virtually digitally. Of course, that's an aspect that your digital communities through social platforms are there, but virtually as in they're there, you know, shoulder to shoulder with you because A, they know what it's like, and B, if they're your friends or your family, they get you and they want to support you.
Yeah, so I guess the biggest takeaway is don't feel alone when you're self-quarantining or social distancing, all those terms that we've been hearing lately, because it's so important to be okay with being with your thoughts, because at the end of the day, you live in your own head and you gotta feel safe in that space.
And you might find that you're scared of it, but you'll thrive.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a beautiful spot.
Do your run across the ice.
Yeah, I'll last all of one step. This is a cool spot because it was man-made for all the fields around it for drainage, but the beavers have come in, they're right over there, and they've dammed up everything around, so they're trying to, you know, make this their pad, their crash pad. And it's still a very beautiful spot, even in the winter. So there's the beaver lodge.
cool place if I do say so myself.
Buddies are hanging out in there. We haven't seen them today though.
Do you think that they're actually in there?
Oh yeah,
Or is it still warm?
because it's really warm in there. Once they make a little access from below and there's a little air pocket inside, it's all packed by mud and everything in them.
It's like warm as in like in minus 20 degrees, it's minus 10.
No, I think it's like +2 or 3. I don't know. I'm not a beaver expert, but I'm pretty sure it's above 0.
How big is your love? Tell me how high is your patience?
So we can walk across the other dam over here. So here you got to be careful because this is built, this is built up and there's holes. This is probably going to be the hardest way back.
Why? You think you're gonna fall through?
Oh yeah, I've done it before.
Oh, what do we do? What does your intuition say?
Tread on.
Mine too. We're on the same page.
Let's do it. The hardest part is over there. Actually, we're not even gonna be able to get through there. So we have to cross after the dam, through there to the forest. And it's nothing but water.
Bushwhacking.
Yeah, very cool. This is their turkey foot, Logan foot, and yeah, deer foot. Isn't it amazing that this used to be a farmer's field? Oh, we're way too loud.
So the first thing that we've learnt or are learning through this whole coronavirus is that your actions affect everyone and not just yourself. And I think that's something we all know but don't really realize until something like this sweeps the whole globe. But it goes to show that, like, even with Vanlife, the amount of waste you're using affects how you live, which affects the whole world because, you know, climate change. The amount of water you're using affects the whole world, and you realize these types of things when you're living in a small space, the waste you use, the water you use. And we've learned that with the coronavirus pandemic, the actions you take, as in going into the public, affects the whole world as well.
Yeah, and if it's not making consequences on yourself later down the line, it's making consequences on others around you.
Yeah.
And sometimes not even the ones around you, sometimes ones across the globe.
And I think that we can all agree, we just want to be courteous people for not just ourselves, but the world and everyone in it.
It seemed like a lot of money and super financial institutions to have
particularly vulnerable for people who are still
finished our breakfast, and as you can tell, we're obviously not in a van.
And that brings us to our third point. So it's totally okay to take time outside of the van, especially in what's going on in the world right now. We felt that we just want to stay in the house, and I'm still sleeping in the van part-time. But the point is that if you feel like you need a break, it's okay. And that applies to when you're on a road trip or when you feel sick. Rent an Airbnb and give yourself a break.
Yeah, van life doesn't mean you have to be in your van 24 hours of the day or even just sleeping in there. I mean, it might feel like you're alternative living and you've got an alternative lifestyle, but it doesn't mean that your vacation doesn't need a vacation.
Yeah, exactly. People take vacations from their house all the time, and it gives you a new perspective. So try it out.
So this is what we're learning from the coronavirus for van life.
And it's pretty applicable to any time being on the road. If you're in a van and there's not a pandemic, I think it would apply that you need to be aware that your actions affect everyone around you, that self-isolation is a good thing, learn how to be alone, and take time away when you need it because it's important to do what's best for you.
Yeah, and be creative with your time. I'm sure everyone around the world is going to have a lot of time coming up, and keep yourself occupied, have some fun, and be creative. And don't forget to stay safe as well.
Yeah, thanks guys. See you next week.
We'll see you.
Bye.
Who's a good girl? Who's a good girl? You good girl, Bella? Who's a good girl? You good girl? I love you, Bella. Say bye, Bella.